I wanted to make this video just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. September, the first 2 weeks can be especially very, very volatile, because what happens is that a lot of the, traditionally, before we had algos and everything, people would actually leave for the summertime. That's why summers were usually typically slow. But now we have algorithms that trade 24/7. So a lot of the people that were on vacation, like the Wall Street guys, they just left the algorithms on and they're just making money. They're trading for them automatically. But the best traders, the ones that trade the most amount of money, don't really trust algos to do that. So what's going to happen the next 2 weeks is you're going to see a lot of volatility. Price swings up, price swings down. This morning, because it was Labor Day weekend, Labor Day Monday. Happy Labor Day to my Americans and Canadians, by the way. I think Canada also celebrates. What we're going to see is next 2 weeks, going towards like the 12th, 15th of the month, with the halfway point, we might see prices go down and consolidate. So be prepared for that. Hey, if prices pump like crazy, amazing. But this is a secret. I know I'm not supposed to say this. I'll say it like this because I don't think it's offensive, but some people might find it offensive. So I'll just say the little hat people, the guys that wear the little hats on top of their head. A lot of them have holidays. It's a Wall Street secret. So I'm from New York City, and a lot of people, friends that I know, are Jewish, and they're not like Reformed Jews. I think it's the ones like the modern day Jews, where like they don't really care. They eat pork, they drink alcohol, sex outside of marriage, blah 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 blah. They're like the ones that like are, you know, they respect the holidays. The Jewish New Year, I think, is coming up in the next, I said it, whatever, the next few weeks. So they might take vacations. They might not really fully be back in, the Wall Street guys, until like the mid of the month, which is just coincidentally the same time that we have supposedly, according to Polymark and everything else, like a 90+% chance that we might have rate cuts. And obviously if we have rate cuts, that means more money printing. So yesterday the M2 money supply went crazy for the US, and this is without money printing. This is without rate cuts. And China's printing more money because their economy is really bad. A lot of you know that I lived in China for many years, and the Chinese, to save face, they don't allow foreign journalists into China. They kicked a lot of them out, so we really don't know how their economy is doing. But we do know they're printing a lot of money because their real estate market is really, really, really down right now. Because traditionally the store of wealth for many Chinese families is property. When I was living in China, like a sign of wealth was like, oh yeah, I have 3 or 4 houses. And they don't Airbnb thing. It's just they buy them high houses and they just store wealth that way. Kind of like how people traditionally did in the US too. The difference is that in the US market, we also have crypto now to store wealth. We also, Americans are getting wiser. We're learning more about stocks. We have Robinhood app. We have a lot of people learning about precious metals because the US and capitalistic society, hey Van White, capitalistic society allows for this. So just beware. I'll say it again. If you're in the crypto markets, the next 2 weeks for me are consolidation. If you look at my thumbnail and the title, I said Rocktober versus Uptober versus Choptober. Rectober means that October we go into it and shit just crashes down. Probably not likely for the whole month, especially in a post-halving year. Uptober is traditionally when the post-halving year prices go up like fucking crazy. And then with that, and then Choptober means consolidation. That we're still in September. It's September 1st. And I think that we're gonna have the choppiness this month, if anything. And I may be wrong, because remember, we lost 2 months earlier this year, the September and the October. So we've kind of been catching up to, and during the summertime, we didn't have the summer low level we usually do again, because the algos are trading. But Wall Street is still not back. Once the big players with the big money, the hedge funds, they come up with the billions of dollars to move the market, that's when we're gonna see things. And again, people are more risky. It's called a risk on environment. When one major thing happens, when money gets cheap, interest rates go down so people can borrow more money, leverage. Wall Street made a lot of its money prior to the 2008 crash because there was a lot of leverage happening. And they were taking these risks because they were like, well, if shit gets bad and the economy crashes, one thing that can happen is, well, they can just count on the US government to bail them out. Obviously, it's not as easy right now because people don't have the appetite. We still have a lot of PTSD from back in those days. However, with cheaper money and lower interest rates and people understanding the way stocks and crypto work, that as long as there's rate cuts like we're supposed to have, people don't mind taking that risk. First in stocks, then crypto. S&P 500, S&P 500, Dow Jones, as long as this is a secret, not financial advice, do your own research. The way you know the crypto market's still going to go higher and higher and higher is when one thing happens. Well, two things. First, rate cuts, cheaper money. The second thing is the stocks are going up. When they hit new all-time highs, S&P 500, Dow Jones, when that's still happening and the M2 is increasing and cheaper money in the US especially, that's when you know the crypto markets are still going to keep going higher. So play it safe. But the way I'm doing it the next few weeks, next month, is I'm treating it as a consolidation period. I'm buying up the dips like crazy. All dips that we can have, I'm buying it up. And I want to explain something that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people think that like Da Vinci Jeremy, all these millionaire crypto bros and sisters, that somehow all they did was like buy tons of crypto and they held it for years and years. No, that's not how it works. You're going to lose money. You're going to have to cash out some money at some point to pay bills, right? The point is that if you're playing it for the long term, it's just to always know that as long as you have a source of income, any source of income, you can always fall back on that. Even if you have to take out a crypto loan for yourself to pay for your business expenses in the short term, in the long term, you gotta just treat it like the long game. You have to have grit. There's a great YouTube video. I'm not gonna post it on here because I want you guys to have my channel that talks about grit. Grit is persistent, treating it like it's a marathon, not a race. It's not a sprint. A lot of us have been in the crypto game. I dabbled in the crypto in 2017. I didn't like it. 2018, 19, I started getting into it. I invested a little bit of money, made some money on Dogecoin in 2020. And I learned something. I was like, if I can invest $1,000 and turn it to 17,000 on Dogecoin, what can I do if I play a little bit riskier and I invest a lot more money? So I've been DCAing. I know this is like things that a lot of people already know. Those of you that are new, great to learn. DCAing, dollar cost averaging. That's every week when you get paid every 2 weeks. You set some money aside. You pay yourself first. Shaquille O'Neal, all the athletes do this. Before you pay any bills, again, not suggesting you do this, not financial advice, you have a certain percentage. You're like, okay, this is going to go towards investments first, towards my crypto stash. For context of this channel, what we do. And then after I have my crypto stash DCA'd out, paid for, then I pay my rent and I pay the rest of my bills. But remember, never play with your rent money either, right? Play it safe. So in my opinion, the real money is not going to be made now. So don't say like, okay, I owe so much money in rent next month on October 1st. Let me put in like a lot of money for my rent and then hopefully it's going to boom. I'm betting on consolidation again for this month, September. Consolidate, DCA like a mug. And then October, if we're lucky, maybe the first week is Rectober. Maybe it is consolidation. But as long as we have rate cuts this month, next month, and rate cuts in December, we might even get a Santa Claus rally. So just be smart about it. Okay, do you want Carti to drop baby boy? Do you want Kent to drop baby boy? Do you want... I have no idea what that means, Ebby Coppola. But I just want to say thanks for you guys joining me. I'm going to start doing these lives more and more often because what I was doing was shorts. I wanted to get started with shorts. And they're not really fun and interactive. YouTube is going to two things. If any of you guys that noticed my channel before was World Blockchain Capital. And my coach, I pay a life coach, and everybody was telling me, YouTubers I listen to, listen, personal brands are selling. That's why I changed my profile picture to picture myself versus a company name. And I changed it from World Blockchain Capital to Mike Reyes Crypto. And obviously I'm not a degen. Like I don't believe in like, hey, let's invest $100 in some random meme coin and hope that it goes to like $1 billion. So that's not my style. My style is just DCA like a mug. DCA and play the long game. I wrote an article. Most people are not going to get rich off of one crypto cycle. You're going to get rich at minimum, generally speaking. If you're playing it safe, at minimum it takes 2 cycles. Obviously not playing it crazy safe. If you put all your money into Bitcoin, you're not going to make millions of dollars at this point, right? But you have to do your own research and you have to treat it like a second job. Like I have jobs that pay the bills day to day. I'm doing some campaign consulting work right now in Jersey, which by the way, the weather is amazing and it's finally getting into the autumn weather, which for some people, it's their favorite season because, you know, summer can be too hot. Summer's some of my favorite season, but autumn has a good aspect to it, especially for crypto, right? And stocks. You have NFL. Some people like NFL like myself. You start getting into the NBA season, which I love. You get into like the playoffs of baseball And then you have the fourth quarter rush, which is when crypto and stocks usually boom. And the post-halving year, the best time for crypto is quarter four. That's I don't have a mics or anything. They're all at home. October, November, December. That's why they always say October, Moonvember, and I forget what they say for December. But this is my thing. Talking about like these strategies of like, you know, consolidation, all that stuff. We missed out on 2 months, February and March. I think it's very likely that February and March were delayed because of M2 supplies. And February and March is actually November, December this year, my opinion. And the November, December that we missed out, that we're catching up on, that November, December, I think is delayed towards next year, quarter one or quarter two. I'm thinking quarter one, and then we see a correction, then we go into a bear market, and then we change, Jerome Powell leaves, and then we go into more quantitative easing, which means more money printing, more risk on atmosphere, and more people investing in crypto. So that's just my opinion. With that being said, I like to keep it to 10 minutes because people get bored after like the 10th minute, in my personal opinion. And I'm gonna leave it with you guys with that. Upwards and onwards. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. Go spend time with your family. After tomorrow, we start that sprint, baby.